Trump likes to say continuously, I had the greatest economy. My first 3 years were great. Of course, he doesn't like to talk about 2019, 2020, because that is when the economy crashed because of his mishandling of COVID. But he thinks for some reason that he did something to juice the economy when he came into power, which is a complete lie, of course. Did Trump, I want you to check this piece out that I have on the screen right now. And it says, did Trump create from the Joint Economic Committee, did Trump create or inherit the strong economy? I want to read a little piece. The U.S. economy is now in its 11th year of expansion with exceptionally low unemployment and robust creation. There are signs that the economy may be weakening due to the trade war and other factors, but so far it has proven resilient. President Donald Trump claims credit for the strong economy. This is when he's in power, claiming that he inherited a disaster from President Barack Obama, and he accomplished an economic turnaround of historic proportions. However, the truth is that by the time he became president, the economy largely had recovered from the Great Recession and was nearing full strength. The question is whether the president's erratic policies will undermine the strong economy he inherited. And it turned out that's exactly what happened. Obama was handed an economic catastrophe and prevented an even greater meltdown. When Barack Obama became president, the economy was experiencing what Federal Reserve Chairman Bernanke called the worst financial crisis in global history, including the Great Depression. In the last quarter of 2008, the real GDP plummeted 8.4%, and the economy hemorrhaged more than 1.9 million jobs. Barack Obama and congressional Democrats took strong action to rescue the economy, including stimulus, TARP, financial reform, and auto bailout. In addition, the Federal Reserve lowered interest rates and took extraordinary measures. Research by economists Alan Blinder and Mark Zandi found that without this multifaceted response, the recession would have lasted twice as long. Job losses would have been twice as high. So as it turns out, Trump inherited a strong economy. Unemployment under Obama, while it peaked at 10%, he got it at 4.7%, and it continued to drop again. He was living off of President Barack Obama's economy. Job growth was exceptional. Average monthly job growth growing 33 months in a row. GDP growth, all of that. These are facts. Donald Trump did not create a good economy. He was handed a good economy. And then he gave a humongous tax cut that gave a very short-term sugar high, but ballooned the deficit. But then here's the kicker. Then came the pandemic, COVID-19. And instead of holding the bull by the horns with that pandemic, he made believe it didn't exist. He made believe that it was just going to pass because of the childish behavior, because he doesn't have a mind that can think logically and can understand the serious things about what occurs when you get things like a pandemic. In fact, when you hear Vice President Kamala Harris talk about Donald Trump is not a serious man. He's not a serious person that does serious policies. This is what she's talking about. And when we talk about his handling of the pandemic is directly responsible for the crash in the world's economy and also the subsequent inflation rate that Biden, once again, a Democrat come into office to bail out a Republican who threw the economy into the dumpster. Once again, Biden comes, clean it up, and has to pay the price for the frustration of the depth that we had to dig out of. But you know what? For those who don't think the COVID was mishandled, I want you to listen to Bob Woodward. Bob Woodward had a lot to say. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
This was him threatening Mark Milley and talking about Mark Milley.
Well, of course, Milley had his say, saying that Trump is the most dangerous person ever, a fascist to the core. Now, this is a respected former military general who was the top person who dealt with Trump, and he says he is a fascist to the core, and the most dangerous person. Now, this man, Donald Trump, is running for president again. You don't have to accept Milley's judgment as final, but it's based on experience with Trump and experience in the military.
And he said publicly that he thought that Milley should be exterminated. He said that at a rally.
Yes, yeah.
So, well,
but this violent talk is not in isolation. Lots of violence out there. Something to worry about it. And if you're going to have political figures like Trump stoking it in this way, and if I may say, having spent years on Trump, spent a year talking to him his last year as president during the year of COVID. And if you look at that record, it is the most pathetic record on dealing with the major pandemic where he was warned. And I kept talking to him and say, Dr. Fauci says this. Have you talked to Dr. Fauci? And Trump is saying, well, we're a busy White House. We don't have time to talk to Fauci. Now, this is a situation like the house is on fire. Oh, let's wait to call the fire department. You call in and you don't have to accept everything Fauci says, but at least listen. It is the off switch in Donald Trump that is part of this tragedy.
Bob Woodward nailed it. When he says that the handling of COVID-19 by Donald Trump, by denying it, was the most pathetic record on dealing with a major pandemic by any president. The guy was warned that this was a dangerous thing that needed to be handled right away, and he didn't. The decisions that Donald Trump made is what we had to recover from, what Biden had to rebuild, what Biden had to rescue, what Biden had to save. And with, of course, Kamala Harris. And yes, the policies that Kamala Harris is putting out there is much better to actually continue a slow getting slowly back past normalcy than Donald Trump throwing and wrecking the car once again, because it is clear this guy's not serious. This guy goes out and he talks about genitalia. He talks about everything except the things that are important in putting this country on its right footing. America has a choice between a childish president or a childish former president who has no knowledge of just about anything, who's bankrupted himself 6 times, who has been accused of sexual assault and much more, or a dignified person ready to grab the bull by the horns and move the country where it needs to go.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.